Best PS4 Games, Part 1. 1. Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn is a PlayStation 4 exclusive that owners of the console absolutely should not miss. Set in an aesthetically prehistoric post-apocalyptic world inhabited by robot dinosaurs, the game puts players in the shoes of Aloy, who hunts these creatures and scraps them for parts. It's an interesting premise to say the least, but it works. Our own review classes it as a play it now title, and although it has a few shortcomings, we think it's a huge open world game that gets it right. It's a must-own game of 2017 with visuals that will be particularly impressive for PS4 Pro owners. 2. The Last Guardian. The Last Guardian has been in the works for 10 years, and now that we've finally played it, we think it deserves to be on this list. In spite of its flaws, the game has moments of brilliance that will appeal to fans of puzzle solving and platforming. However, it's often pulled back from true greatness by some technical bugs that range from an annoying camera to frustrating companion AI. Still, players with patience and a willingness to see past some of these more annoying technical aspects will be rewarded with an unforgettably stunning and emotional gaming experience. 3. Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. Resident Evil is the franchise that put survival horror games on the map, and though it lost its way slightly in later titles, the newest game is a return to form for Capcom. By going back to the survival horror basics and getting them dead on, Capcom has made Resident Evil 7 a genuinely frightening and exhilarating gaming experience. If you have the stomach for the gore, it's absolutely worth playing. The PlayStation 4 version of the game has an added bonus for PSVR owners, a virtual reality adaptation of the game which Capcom has absolutely nailed. However, you'll need to be brave to play it all the way through. 4. Titanfall 2. The original Titanfall was a great game, but unfortunately it didn't come to the PlayStation. Fortunately, its sequel, Titanfall 2, improves on it every conceivable way. The motion is more fluid, there are more distinct titans to choose from, and hold onto your hats here, there's actually a single-player campaign that might take the cake for the best first-person shooter story of the year. This game's pedigree is inherited from one of this generation's smartest and most unusual shooters. The original Titanfall married ninja-fast on-foot combat to the gloriously thuggish thrill of piloting giant mechs, which are summoned from orbit a few minutes into each match. The skill with which Respawn has balanced this mix of styles in the sequel is remarkable. Titans have firepower in excess, but they're easy to hit, and maps offer plenty of places for infantry to hide. These ideas coalesce into one of this year's most remarkable entries in the genre, and is well deserving its own shot in the spotlight as well as a Game of the Year nomination. 5. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End hasn't been out for very long, but we can already tell that this is going to be a Game of the Year contender come December. The game was tasked with an impossible task by bringing a satisfying close to Naughty Dog's classic adventure series, and delivered something well above our expectations. Exceptionally high production values, an engaging story about a wayward brother and an adventure to remember, Uncharted 4 has them all in spades. Though Naughty Dog's Uncharted journey has finally reached its destination, you're guaranteed to treasure the memories it created forever. If you're a PS4 owner, it would be criminal not to take this ride. 6. The Last of Us Remastered. Many games have offered us post-apocalyptic visions of the future, but none have been as brutal, as believable, or as touching as Joel and Ellie's story. It was near perfect on PS3, but with current gen's increased performance ceiling, Naughty Dog found ways to ramp up the visual fidelity to drop the controller and stare levels. A radical tonal departure from Uncharted's jovial treasure hunting escapades. The Last of Us Remastered demonstrates the California studio's ability to strike a darker mood, populating the overgrown ruins of its setting with a cast characterized by murky morals but still getting you to care for them like your own Bessies. 7. Rise of the Tomb Raider. 20-year celebration. Has it really been 20 years since we first saw Lara in action? How the time flies when you're upgrading from a 32-bit resolution to upwards of 4K. But no matter how many years go by, Lara still manages to find a handhold in our hearts. Despite being the sequel to a prequel about the young life of the Lara Croft, Rise of the Tomb Raider feels like the pinnacle of the series. The reboot, which saw a brave new direction for the franchise, seemed a lot of the time to be little more than a bit of light Uncharted cosplay, but Rise is a far more accomplished game. There's now a genuine open world which feels like there is always something to do, and something more than just harvesting up collectibles in exchange for a light dusting of XP. There are also tombs. Yes, that might seem a fatuous thing to say given the name, but the previous game gave them short shrift. In Rise though, they are deeper and more plentiful. Plus, on top of everything else, it's got VR support, which is pretty neat considering that there aren't many PlayStation VR titles around these days. Welcome back to PlayStation, Lara, we've missed you. 8 Fallout 4. All things considered, this is one of the best games Bethesda has made. It ticks all the boxes: a massive, detail-oriented open world. Still fantastic tenets of looting and shooting, a story filled with intriguing side quests and subplots that feel like they matter. And of course a classic soundtrack that brings it all to life. In many ways it's the game we've been waiting for since Fallout 3 steered the series away from its top-down role-playing roots. Not only is the world itself wider, but the plot is better, and more digestible than any of the games before it. Plus, there's now mod support. There's still a sense of mystery about what's happening, but you no longer have to dig forever and a day through terminals to piece it together. Welcome home, stranger.